Hello, wine lovers! I'm Miroslava, sommelier and wine educator, your guide on this journey through the world of wines, spirit, and cocktails. Today, I feel like stepping away from the classical winemaking and talking about something unusual. Dandelion wine. The words were summer on the tongue. The wine was summer catch and stopper it. Hold summer in your hand, pour summer in a glass, a tiny glass of course, the smallest tingling sip for children. Change the season in your vein by raising glass to lip and tilting summer in. Dandelion wine by Red Bradbury is a hymn to summer and a happy childhood. I had always taken the wine itself as a metaphor, a kind of distillation of beautiful memories, especially considering the method of preparation described in the book. Until a few years ago, when I discovered that dandelion wine is not a metaphor at all, but a very real tradition of American home winemaking, going back more than a century. Of course, the recipe described by Bradbury has very little to do with reality. So, plucked carefully in sacks, the dandelions were carried below. The cellar dug glowed with their arrival. The wine press stood open cold. A rush of flowers warmed it. The press replaced its screw rotated, turned by grandfather, squeezed gently on the crop. There some, the golden tide, the essence of this fine fair mouth ran, then gushed from the sprout below, to be crocked, skimmed of ferment, and bottled in clean ketchup shakers, then ranked in sparkling crows in cellar gloom. Drinking raw, milky dandelion juice is quite impossible. It is bitter and harsh. And there is not much to ferment either. Dandelions are not particularly rich in sugar. Most likely, Bradbury was not thinking about fermentation chemistry or properties of dandelions. He simply imagined the process based on general knowledge of grape winemaking. In reality, from technological point of view, dandelion wine is not really wine at all. It is close to mead. Dandelion wine came to America from Europe, brewed by settlers from northern regions where grape did not grow. Imported wine was expensive, and only the wealthy could afford it. Yet the desire for variety in alcohol remained. Originally, it was made using honey as the sugar source for fermentation, since refined sugar was just as expensive and hard to get as wine itself. Later, with the availability of cheap refined sugar in America, home winemakers quickly switched to using it, simpler and cheaper. So today, most American recipes are based on sugar rather than honey. The foundations of dandelion wine are honey or sugar, dandelion petals, which give the drink its bittersweet floral aroma, citrus fruits, providing the necessary acidity. This is primarily a homemade drink, although there are also a few commercial producers, including among the Amish, who make dandelion wine. Traditionally, it is made sweet, but it can be made dry as well. As for me, I am not a winemaker, I am a sommelier, a well-informed advanced sommelier, but I don't make wine on my own. But sometimes you want to work not only with your brain, but also with your hands. So I decided to make dandelion wine, and I did. Now it's time to taste it. I collected several recipes and combined them into something that best matched my own idea of perfection. Since I don't particularly like sweet wines, I made a dry version. For the sake of experimentation, I made part of it with honey and part with sugar. As expected, the honey version turned out to be far more interesting in flavor. Many recipes suggest using baker's yeast instead of wine yeast. I would not recommend it. It will work, yes, but it will not improve the taste. So, ingredients. 300 gram dandelion petals, about 500 gram whole flowers, usually 5 liters in volume. 3 liters of water. 450 gram honey or sugar, for a dry version, add more if you want it sweet. 2 large oranges, or 3 medium. 2 large lemons, or 3 medium. A handful of raisin, about 30 gram, chopped. A packet 5 gram of wine yeast. I used champagne yeast. On a sunny spring day, go out to a meadow full of dandelions. It is worth to make sure it is not a popular dog walking area. And quickly pick the flowers. Then quickly go home and begin separating the yellow petals from the green parts. The emphasis on quickly is important. You have 2 to 3 hours at most before the flower closes, and then the process becomes significantly more difficult. The green parts add bitterness, so it is better not to use the whole flower, or for a few stray pieces won't hurt. Place the petals into a non-reactive container, glass, ceramic or stainless steel, and pour over 3 liters of boiling water. Leave overnight. The next day, strain the liquid through the cheesecloth, squeezing out as much liquid as possible. Discard the petals. Zest and juice the lemons and oranges. Bring the dandelion fusion to a boil and dissolve the honey or sugar. Then add zest, juice and raisins. Remove from heat. Cool to room temperature and add the yeast. Pour into sterilized fermentation vessels. You can use a jar with airlock or bottles jars with rubber gloves or balloons. I used balloons. A small hole should be carefully made with a needle. This allows excess gas to escape. Leave to ferment at room temperature for about 3 weeks. When the balloons deflate completely, fermentation is finished. Carefully transfer the wine into sterilized bottles with a swing top closure, trying not to disturb the sediment. Storing in a cool dark place for 2 to 3 months. During this time, residual fermentation will finish and most of the remaining sediment will settle. Then carefully rack the wine again into a clean bottles for a long-term storage and return them to a cool dark place. Dandelion wine mature over 1 to 2 years. It is best not to age it much longer as it will begin to lose its flavor. Well then, let's taste it. This one for you, this one for me. What I got is a dry mead with pronounced dandelion aroma, pleasantly flavored with gentle bitterness. Unusual certainly, but quite interesting. A lovely way to add variety to your drinks menu, especially for a timid party. Stay with me, subscribe to my channel. Feel free to ask questions and don't hesitate to support me. Cheers!